Stories in today's video. 1. Update. My 27F boyfriend's 27M old crush returning after a few years away. I was worried he would leave me for her. Sadly, I was right. 2. Update. Me, 32F, with my husband, 39M, 6 years. Our S*X life disappeared. He swears he's attracted to me and I'm not sure what to believe or do. 3. Update. Recently found out that I, 17M, got into my brother's, 19M, former dream university which he did not get accepted to last year. Feeling guilty about really wanting to go now. Old post. He ended up breaking up with me about a month after she came back and got back with her. It's been 2 years since this all happened and I heard through the grapevine they got engaged last weekend. I've moved on and it's alright, but my heart breaks when I think of how insecure and self-conscious I felt when all this went down. I know I'll eventually find a guy who I won't have any worries about. Until then I'm chilling. **TLDR, I was right to be worried. Worried. Here is the original post. It is from over 2 years. I know my original post is so old, but the biggest update only recently happened. My therapist suggested I post about it here to help sort out how I feel right now and also as a warning to other people. I feel like I have grown so much in the last few years and maybe I'm a bit less naive, or a bit more bitter, however you'd like to put it. Through interacting with the comments, I came up with an ultimatum I would give my husband. 1. He needed to get his medical stuff tested. 2. He see someone psychologically. 3. Couples counseling. I decided ahead of time that he'd have to do the legwork for this already. I had already done so much legwork for this relationship and I wanted to make sure I didn't hold his hand through this either. He took it surprisingly well for what the conversation was. There were tears on both sides, but he agreed that yes, he would be willing to do these things for the sake of the relationship. And then days *SSED. And a week passed. I finally brought it up again and it caused a minor fight where he told me he needed to do this sort of stuff on his own time. A few more weeks passed. I realized that he did not care enough to do something about this. It was a hard thing to realize, but it was clear as day. I headed over a friend's house to talk things out, clear my head, and come up with a plan for divorce. I drove home and a few minutes before I arrived, he got a phone call that his sister was in a coma and dying. I booked him tickets to go see her. She *SSED away a few hours after he saw her. She left behind 2 late teenage girls, who we were now partially responsible for. So I pushed my pain down and decided to be the best aunt I can to these 2 girls. I also got myself a dog, best decision ever in this situation, to keep my own spirits up. I worked really hard at this and felt like my husband and I were getting closer in the process. More recently, I started realizing that everything we were doing for the girls was initiated through me, not him. So I started paying more attention. He was getting annoyed at me making a big deal over surprise care packages their school suggested we send in and other things like that. I was starting to resent that he wasn't caring for his nieces in the same way as I was. On the youngest niece's graduation day, I asked him if he thought the other parents there would be getting flowers for the graduates and if that's something we should do. This is when he totally lost it at me. It was a string that started with him yelling about how I get too concerned about these sorts of things and ended with a rant about how I buy too many crackers when company comes over for dinner. This started changing the lens I was looking at him through again. Also, at this point, I felt like my nieces had launched into the world with lives of their own. I started re-seeing the eye rolls when I talked. The cutting remarks about my intelligence. Oh, and the utter lack of S*X. So I started talking to people. I started seeing a therapist. And together, we all came up with a plan to discuss everything with him, probably ending in divorce, though I never took that as a definite. I decided we had a different view of what a relationship and marriage should be. My plan was to present that to him calmly and let him give his opinion of how he sees things. I had a work trip, so I took the time to recoup. I went on a long hike, and even though I'm not really religious, I prayed the whole damn time about this. So when I got home, in the calmest and most even way I could, I explained the situation as I saw it and asked for his feedback. My friends and I rehearsed what would happen if he cried and begged for a chance to change, or what to do, or rather, where to go, if he got really angry. But nothing prepared me for his reaction. He agreed with me. He said that everything felt forced to him and that this wasn't a natural relationship. That he married me because that was the path he was on, and since he wasn't planning on having kids, it's not like that mattered all that much. In fact, he prefers being alone generally. He then finished by asking if I thought we should get couples counseling. I calmly said that given what he just said, I didn't think that was an option. He immediately started trying to talk next steps, who gets what, etc. He brought up that he could probably technically fight for alimony but that he wouldn't. And said he wouldn't fight for my dog if I don't fight to go after his separate finances. I think this was the most painful in the moment reaction I could have had from him. I told him I would give him some space that night, so I drove to my friend's house and cried my eyes out. Him not fighting it is ultimately better for the long run, but it's really hard to realize that your husband of 5 years, and partner for 8, never really loved or cared for you. I should have listened to my gut all along. We had that talk last night. I'm currently sitting in a coffee shop, typing this all out. I'm a relatively attractive person and I channeled my frustrations over the last few years into lifting and working out almost every day. So I'm hopeful when it comes to love in the future. I don't really know what my next step is. I might drive to my brother's. I might look for a storage facility. It's a bit overwhelming to think about. Overall, I'm so grateful this is happening now and that I won't be looking back at my life when I'm 85 years old, disappointed that it never really started. I have my life in front of me and it's a big scary place. But after I finish crying my eyes out, it's one step in front of the other. And thank you everyone for all your help. All your help. Update to my previous: on Saturday I was able to speak to my brother and tell him that I got into the university. He was really happy for me, like a lot of people said he would be. When I told him I got in, he gave me a huge hug and was really excited. It was such a huge relief. He asked me if it was my top choice, since he didn't know I had applied. I told him it was and he said that we have to celebrate then. He told me I didn't seem excited enough and I should be really proud of myself, and he asked if it was the shock of just finding out. When I told him I found out a few days ago and he was the only one that knew, he asked me what's going on, because I wasn't reacting to the great news like it was great news. I admitted that I worried about telling him because I didn't want him to be mad. We talked about it and he basically said what everyone in the comments said, that he's proud of me and happy for me. I mentioned that I got into a different program than his and my requirements were lower, and he told me to not downplay my success and to stop worrying about him being mad because he wasn't. He told me that when I told out parents he wanted me to be more confident and proud of myself, because I did something great. Yesterday while we were hanging out at his buddy's house he told me I should tell them the news, when I didn't want to because I hate talking about myself. He asked if could tell them, which I told him was okay. They were all happy for me too. Honestly, his reaction was better than I even hoped for, but looking back I should have expected it from him because that's always been the type of brother he is. TLDR told my brother I got into the university and he incredibly supportive and happy for me.